So I'm Olivia Da Silva, I'm with theScore eSports, and I'm here with James Clayster Eubanks. How are you doing, friend?
I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. You know what, the weather's nice out today, but no complaints. So one thing I want to ask you about, you've been a part of the scene for a really long time now, playing with some of the biggest teams in the competitive scene. How does it feel being with FaZe?
I love being with FaZe. FaZe is one of those places that really feels like family. It's one of the first organizations I've ever really been on that I trust and respect every single person inside the organization, and they give me that same trust and respect back. It's kind of like a family that we've built on FaZe, whereas on other organizations, it was just I'm playing for this team, and I don't really develop too deep of relationships with the organization or the staff and stuff like that. So to finally be on FaZe now, where it almost feels like they're my brothers, it's a nice transition because it allows me to have the freedom to kind of do what I want to do and not worry about repercussions like getting cut or getting dropped or something like that.
Right, okay. So what personality traits would you say is kind of different with your teammates now versus, say, the ones that you couldn't really bond with in the past?
My teammates now are really understanding, and I think that's what allows us to be so good is that they take constructive criticism really well, and although they might kind of lash out when you give them some criticism, they eventually listen to you and they'll like put it into their gameplay. And I think that's the biggest difference between this team and other teams is that we all listen to each other and respect each other's opinion and change our gameplay depending on what our teammates say. Whereas on my other teams, it was kind of like there's just one or two guys that are like, nah, I'm doing it this way or no way. Like there's no in between, there's no compromise or anything like that. And I think in a team environment, especially in Call of Duty, you need to be able to compromise like consistently every week. And if people are too stubborn to do that, then it causes, flaws in your gameplay.
Right. Okay. No, that totally makes sense. So that as well, what are your predictions going into the playoffs this weekend?
I always predict us first. I predict us winning the whole tournament without dropping a map. And so it's just a confidence factor. You always got to make sure you have the confidence and, the courage and stuff to be able to say that you're going to win every single tournament. Because if you don't have the correct mindset and you go into it with like, oh, no, this team is a little better than us, I hope we beat them, then they're going to beat you 100 times out of 100 times. You need to be going into every single match with the confidence that you're going to win the whole tournament.
Makes sense. Do you have any opponents in particular that you think might give you a little bit of a run for your money, or?
Yeah, so our opponent first round is Dream Team, and they scraped into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, and I think they're really going to come out swinging. And so, although, in the semis we might match up against Optic Gaming, and in the finals Rise or Envy, I'm not even looking forward to those those last two matches. We got to focus on the first one, and we got to beat Dream Team.
Okay, so a little bit of a bloodbath there, but that'll be interesting. So jumping a little bit forward here, COD Champs, you were the MVP last year. What are your expectations going into this year?
Same thing. Hope to get MVP again. I hope to take first place again. We had a really good showing at COD Champs last year when everyone kind of counted us out. We were kind of the underdogs that whole like 3 or 4 month span period right there. And when we kind of got matched up against Optic Gaming first round of Champs last year, everyone was like, oh, well, they're going to get first rounded, they're out. And we ended up winning through the whole winners bracket and going all the way to the finals and winning it there. And I think that's a really key aspect to winning Call of Duty championships is staying in the winner bracket because everyone's playing their hardest, their best Call of Duty that they play all year. And when you get knocked into losers, then everything's on the line and you end up having to like play these other teams who are going like 120% every single map. Whereas if you get in the winners, people kind of have this lackadaisical attitude about it sometimes, like, oh, well, we got 2 chances, like this game doesn't really matter that much. Mm-hmm. My team has a different perception of it, and we see it as like we stay in the winners and we have a much greater chance to win the tournament.
Okay, so the pressure kind of really, really amps up once you get to losers bracket, eh?
Exactly.
Okay, that makes total sense. What would you consider the highlight of your competitive career so far?
I would consider maybe 2 things the highlight of my career. People ask me this question all the time. What was better, winning the X Games gold medal or winning the Call of Duty championship with the MVP? And while the money is good at COD championships and it was an amazing feeling, I think the X Games gold medal win was probably the highlight of my entire Call of Duty career so far, just because of the story behind it and how we had never beaten the team that we ended up beating in the first round match, and how we ended up like that was the only tournament that my team Optic won at the time. Like for the 9 months I was on the team, we got second another one, but that was the only one we really took home, and I think it really helped establish all 4 of us as a brand and like a really good face in the scene. And so winning that gold medal gave us a lot of legitimacy too. And it's kind of when I tell people like, oh, I won a COD championship ring, they're like, what? And then it's like, oh no, I won an X Games gold medal. And they're like, oh crap, that's awesome. Like it's a lot different in the public perception as well as in the player perception, because there's only a few people with gold medals. There's only 7 in Call of Duty and I'm one of them. And so that's a pretty elite club to be a part of. It feels nice.
All right. And my last question for you. Infinite Warfare is coming up. What are your thoughts on the new game and kind of the additions and the fact that it's going to be in space?
So Infinite Warfare is kind of one of those games that I feel like is either going to be really good or really bad, and it just depends on if they do it right or not. And what I mean by that is they have to create the maps that'll flow well, and they have to have balanced guns, and they have to make gameplay tweaks and stuff like that. And I try and reserve judgment from the games, like with all the trailer hype and the multiplayer reveal and whatever it is. I kind of don't even like look at it really, because you never really know the game until you play it, like for an extended period of time. Like we had all these preconceptions of like this game that we're playing now, and then we played it for a month and we were completely wrong in all of those. And so it's one of those things you kind of just have to be able to play it for a month or two, and then I'll be able to make a really good like judgment call on the game. But as it stands now, they just have to make sure that they're balancing everything correctly and make sure the flow of the map is right.
Makes total sense. Well, thank you for coming by. It's been awesome, and best of luck to you in the playoffs. And hope it all goes well for you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Of course. So this has been theScore eSports. You can check us out. We've got an app, we've got a website, and a whole lot of YouTube shenanigans. And if you want any Call of Duty updates, news, whatever, you'll find it there.